Hello everybody and welcome back to the Games Done Quick Hotfix. This is How to Train a Speedrunner, and we are here with Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus. Before we get into that though, and learning that, I do just have a few quick announcements. So SGDQ is coming up next month on June 26th. Prize submissions are now open. You can go to gamesdonequick.com for more information on that. And as well, Flame Fatales will be having its next all-women speedrunning event, Flame Fatales, in late August. You can type !FF in Twitch chat, or you can go to gamesdonequick.com/Flame Fatales for more information on that. With all that said, I'm joined by Zik here. How are you doing, Zik?
I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain. How about you?
Doing all right. It's nice to have you here. A little bit of a late-minute fill, but, you know, it all works.
It all worked out. Yeah, I'm excited to show this off. It's a game that I've run for many years now.
Yeah, so funny enough, I actually I thought this was your main speed game for a while, even though I don't know that that's completely true, but I just kind of associated you with being like a Sly Cooper runner for a while.
Yeah, I've run it very off and on for a long time.
Yeah.
Though I go all over the place with speedruns. I think the only game I consistently stick to is A Bug's Life for the PS1.
Is there anything we should know about this before we get into it? Anything you want to say about the run before we get into it?
No, I'll kind of get into stuff as we start going. So how I kind of want to begin this, in Sly 1 speedrunning, something that happened a few years back was that the community decided to use a pre-prepared file for speedrunning, because there's very long animated cutscenes between every level, and they found a way to preload those cutscenes onto a fresh file. So I figured I'd start out by just kind of showing the process on how you make a file to start a run.
Okay.
So, yeah, if we're ready to go, I can get started on that.
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
All right, so I guess 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so what I want to start with is, as I was just kind of saying, when doing Sly speedruns nowadays, we kind of create, you can see this middle file is a prepped file. It is, the criteria for a pre-set up file for this game is it has to be a file that only has the cutscenes preloaded on it. It has to be 0% completion with 5 starting lives, 0 starting coins. It has to starting in Paris, which is where the game starts. It has to be a completely fresh, untouched file. It just has those cutscenes loaded. So you may wonder, how are we going to be doing that? So what we'll do first is let me delete these files. Okay, so the only criteria in making these files is you need to have one file, like this one at the top, that has completed the game or has access to all the hub worlds. That is the key to getting these things. So we'll start a new game. So we'll use file 3 and we'll start a new game. And there's a cutscene that plays at the start of a new game. We can just load the game again to skip it. And so the first thing we're going to do, at this point, you could set up any of your settings you want for your run, so you don't have to set them up every single time you want to do a run. You can just set them all up and save. So we will go ahead and save these. And then we need to complete Paris, France. So I'm going to do it the speedrun way. When we actually get into the run, I'll actually talk about how you do this. But for now, we just need to complete Paris on this fresh file.
And so this is all before the run starts.
Yeah, this is something you'd set up one time before you do the run. And once it's set up, you never have to do it again. It'll always be here. So I'm completing Paris. You'll see here in a second, an animated cutscene will play. The first time you play the game, these are unskippable.
I was surprised to
there's
see how
one
much you took it.
between every single world.
Finally, the secret police file I've been searching
So
for all these years.
we'll have to watch this one through.
My family and regain possession of our most valued treasure.
But to kind of get into the run a little bit, just some other stuff. I am doing this run on a PS2 disc, so I know there's also the PS3 remaster of the game. I'm not a PS3 remaster speedrunner. I know some things that work and don't work on remaster, but not everything does. So, just for, you know, forewarning, this is the PS2 disc copy of the game. I am also playing on a backwards compatible PS3. That is not mandatory. That's just, it's a little faster to run on a backwards compatible PS3. You can play on a PS2 just as fine and still get good times.
The Thievius Raccoonus. Our family's manual of thieving.
So this is the straightforward part. Once we've completed Paris, it gets a little funky for a second on setting up the file, but then it's really straightforward. And I'm not going to go through every single world's cutscene. I'm just going to show you, once you do the first one, it's the same thing for every other world. So I'll just show you the first one, and then we can get started. But I know, in starting out, this can be something where you're like, oh, I don't even know how they set that up.
Together we pledged to track down the Fiendish Five, avenge my father, and steal back the Thievius Raccoonus. I knew I was about,
because I know that can be something that's daunting when starting to learn a run, is like if there's some pre-setup that can always seem kind of like a hurdle to get over.
Yeah, especially if it's not like super clear, because even if it might seem easy to somebody who's like done it before, like somebody just starting up might not have any idea how to do it.
Right, exactly. Okay, so at this point, there's a little save icon in the bottom left that popped up. It shows your percentage. We still have a file that's 0% completion. We have not completed anything. We've just watched the intro cutscene. So at this point, I think it already saves, but we will save it anyways. And my files aren't the way I'm used to. But, so we're going to load back into Paris. So this is the weird part. We need to pull this hideout file, now that it's watched the cutscene, we need to pull it back to Paris. Since that's like a tutorial level, you're technically like not, you can't like select it as a level anymore once you beat it. So we will load this other file I made that was in Paris. That's why I made two files. So we are in Paris right now. So this is the weird part. When you have the option, this binocucom in the game that you can use to kind of look at stuff. If you were to pause the game right before you open the binocucom, it was a little early, you'll notice that you can see a pause menu open and then close really quick. And if I were to not press start, just close the binocucom, that pause menu pops up. You kind of like store it behind the binocucom. And so what you can do with that is have a second pause menu up in the binocucom. And so what we will do, because when you load a game, it loads instantly, like the game considers the next whatever you loaded instant, but there's a little fade out. You can still play the game during that time. So we'll be able to, we will load and we will select our hideout file. And then while it's doing that, I will close the binocucom and in the stored pause menu, load the Paris file. And that will pull the hideout back to the Paris file. It'll basically load on top of the other load. So it sounds like a lot, but the inputs right now will literally be X, R1, down, X. Make sure I have that right. So it's X, R1, down, X. And now,
Gotcha.
Nice piece of work back there, police.
I think I did that too quick.
Come see me if you want to check out any of your old movies. I've got them all here on my computer.
Dang, speedrunner's going too fast.
I know.
Stick to move around the hideout and the X button to select things.
Let me, yeah, okay. How do I want to do this? Can I erase the file from here? Yes. Let's erase file 2. Okay. Again, this is the really funky part. This is the part that's kind of very obtuse. So we need to press R1, press start right before the Binocu com opens, then press start again. Then I will load. Oh wait, I have to save this file again.
With the
Yep. Okay, now we can do it again. So we will load the pairs file, and then same thing. It's going to be X, R1 down, X. There we go. So now, if we look, and I go to press save game, both files are in Paris, France. So I have pulled this file from the hideout back to Paris, but the intro cutscene has now been watched.
Okay.
So to finish the process, we will go to our completed file. And I just need to get this, go back to the hideout. Basically, the hideout is the hub world where you get to pick all the other worlds in the game. And so if you were on a fresh file, when you'd pick world 1, it would just say press X to start mission and play a cutscene. But you'll see, because I'm on a completed file, I can just go into the area. So what we'll do is I will press load game, and I'll hover over the file we made that we want to load the cutscene onto. And while over top of a world, so world 1, and I will, because like I said, it'll load the game instantly, but there'll be a little bit of time we can play the game. So I will load the file and press X again. And so now I've loaded that third file, but we're watching the cutscene because I got to press X to start mission before the game faded out. And this won't add any progress to that file, it just will play the cutscene. And when the cutscene's over, we'll load back into Paris.
He tried his hand at a bit of piracy.
So then you would just repeat this process for World 2, World 3, World 4, and World 5. Save the game, and now you have a file that's 0% in Paris with all these little intro cutscenes watched, so they'll be skippable when you play the game.
Last reported sighting of this
Okay.
machinist was off the
And
side of
it's like,
Isle of Rat,
yeah.
a small island
What was that?
comfortably situated
You go ahead.
with a perilous Welsh triangle.
I was just gonna say, it's a little bit of an involved process, but once you do it once, you just save the file over all 3 of your files, and you have them forever.
It'll take a bit to start, but after that, you're good for the rest of your
Yeah,
speedrunning
it's like
career.
a 15-minute investment that's good for life. So after you'd watch the cutscene, I would just resave the file, and now that cutscene's watched on this file. And then you would repeat for every single world. Now, I'm not going to make a sit through every single world cutscene. So what I'm going to do is I've created a backup memory card with the completed files on. I keep this just in case anything ever happens to these files. I keep a backup memory card that has the files set up.
That is
like I
a
said.
brilliant idea.
No one wants to set this back up. Another perk of using the PS3. And there we go. So now we can get started with the run. I just wanted to kind of show that off. To kind of show up how it is to set up. All right, so time begins in this game whenever you select load game from, because we'll load the Paris, France file, the save file we made. So time begins on hitting load game, and time ends on the final hit to the final boss. To answer a question I see, I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure if there is actually a community file you could download. I know for like, if you were running on PS2 or something, you would definitely have to set it up yourself. I'm not sure how difficult it would be to get it onto the PS3.
Yeah, I don't know that there would be a way to get it onto a physical memory card. If there is, I'm not aware of it.
So, all right. So we will begin our run right now. Once you've made your file, you would go to load game, pick one of your files, and time would start now. So here we are in Paris. So the first thing you would do normally is you would go up and you'd break into the police station and open the vault to get the file from the safe in Carmelita's office. But what we can do is we can actually skip past all of that and just get to the end of the level, which I kind of showed off earlier. But just to kind of get into some basic mechanics, Sly has a jump. He's got a double jump. That's both on X. You can press square to swing the cane, and you have R1 that can open the binocucom. Later, we can press circle to use different abilities, but we have none right now. So instead of going up into that air vent like you're supposed to, you can actually come over here and get onto this antenna, and then this little wall with this air duct in front of you, you can double jump towards it, and you can actually ledge grab. And you can see that there's a little part of this roof where the air duct doesn't cover. So we're actually able to get up here. And a small note about Sly's mechanics is, you know, if he's ledge grabbing, instinctively you might want to like push forward and up to pull yourself onto the ledge. But you can see I'm doing that right now. I like bonk off the air vent. But if you're ledge grabbing an object in this game and you just tap X, Sly will just pull himself up just far enough to get onto the edge. So in cases like this, you won't go too far forward and bonk on objects. The game will pull you up just far enough to get up. So it's a kind of safe way to get up on ledges that are very tight like this area. It's just tap X. So the goal is, you can see in the bottom of the screen, the van. We need to get down to the van. Now it's not as simple as it would seem. This sloped roof here, most of it is a death plane. Really, the only part that isn't is kind of, if you see that air duct, underneath the air duct, tight against the wall, there's not a death plane under there.
Okay.
So, what was that?
Just acknowledging.
Okay. Yeah, so if we were to, and I'll kind of show it off, if I were to just decide to jump down, you'll see I'll die. You're not supposed to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So what we'll do instead is you can do we have Sly's double jump ability. So we can jump out and around to that little hole in the death plane. So instead of just jumping straight down, we're going to jump once to the right and then use the double jump to tuck back into the left before we hit the death plane. So it kind of looks like this. You'll go right, left. And you kind of tuck under that air vent and you just get to slide all the way down to the bottom. It takes a little practice to get a feel for where the death plane is and isn't there. But if you kind of just take into mind that you just do a jump right and a jump left under the air duct, you will usually be able to duck under it just fine. And then you just get to run to the end. Normally you're being like chased here and whatnot, but we kind of get to skip all that since we do the entire thing out of sequence. And that gets you through the tutorial. And you'll be able to see here, we can now skip these cutscenes because they're all watched on the save file.
Piece of work back there at police headquarters, Sly. Come see me if you want to check out any of your old movies.
How tight is the death plane there? Is it like super unforgiving or?
It is pretty, the further out you go, the safer you are.
Okay.
Out towards like the back of the police headquarters. It is definitely a little like tighter than you'd think. So you definitely, like I said, when you make that left jump, you want to try and get yourself as close to the wall as you can when you do the second jump.
Okay.
I've already plotted.
All right, so we'll get into World 1 here. So welcome to a stealthy approach. So the level immediately is going to open up with a trick. And this is an easy trick. This is an absolutely easy one that anyone can do. Now this is one that only works on the, pretty sure this doesn't work on the remastered version. This is a PS2 only. Pretty much there's a lot of place in this game where you'll be able to like squeeze yourself into tight spaces and the game pops you out. Just assume most of those can't be done on the PS3 version. They patched a lot of that out. So we have this keep out sign here. And so what we can do is position Sly at this like plant. And you're basically just going to run down, just literally just going to hold down on the D-pad towards this E in keep out. And this will kind of vary depending on your camera angle and what way Sly is running. But you just hold into that E and Sly will get pushed up out of the sign. And if your camera angle is in the right position, you'll get something like this. And you get all the way up onto this rock. And this is because...
Awesome.
What's up?
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And this is because what you're supposed to do is go through this little tunnel with the coins, and there's a cutscene at the end where Bentley tells you about the mission and whatnot. It's pretty long, so instead we can just pop up and just completely jump over that trigger. And just like that, we're past the cutscene.
So if that's mostly just the camera angle, like that's kind of what you need to adjust to make that happen?
Yeah. So you kind of can just kind of hold down into it and kind of move your camera around and you'll get launched out. It's a very, very simple trick to do. Just run down and get launched. So I'm going to kind of show a beginner strat to this, and then I'll kind of show a strat you can add later once you are a little more comfortable with the run. So what, it's something you could do if you're doing this run for your first run for the first time is you'll come up here, and normally at the top of this ramp when these coins are, there's another cutscene there where Bentley tells you about the storm machine. Now the thing about cutscenes in this game is once they've started, they're considered watched like immediately when they start. So if you were to say die right after the cutscene begins, when you respawn, you won't have to watch the cutscene again. It'll be watched already. So when you're coming up through this segment, you kind of see that point, right, straight ahead, and you'll notice that this kind of grass curves downward. So if I were to step there, Sly would slide off it and die. So we're gonna position it. If you just run straight at that point, kind of, Sly will run into the cutscene trigger, hit the slope, and then fall off the level and die once the cutscene begins, and that will skip the cutscene entirely. So I'll kind of show that off here. You just run forward. Cutscene begins, and then Sly dies. And I think I did that a little too early, but the trigger there is seeing the binocucom open. If you see the binocucom open, then you know you got the trick. So like that, that's how I got it. And that completely skips that cutscene with Bentley talking about the storm machines. Now if I come up here, you'll see there's no cutscene. You just get the little thing in the bottom left that says like you can watch it again if you want. So the second part to this, there's another cutscene. There's a lot of cutscenes in the first level. They want to tell you a lot. There's another cutscene at the end of this water segment. We could skip that too. If you see this little post with the bees, you can actually just double jump on top of it and get up onto it. And once you're up here, you literally just hold down on the D-pad and double jump. Oh, I kind of bonked on the roof. Oh, I missed it a little bit. You may have to adjust slightly, but usually it's just down on the D-pad. I'm not on that. You'll ledge grab this. And if you do that, you're out of bounds. Once you're out of bounds, you can just kind of follow this little split in the texture, and it's just an invisible wall, and you can run over everything. So you can just run all the way like this out of bounds, and you skip the cutscene, which is right behind me.
Okay. Do you have to be worried about like a death plane out there, or?
Yeah, so that's what I said, that you can see a little like split in the textures where there's like normal texture and then like really stretched texture up there.
Yeah.
As long as you just don't go over to the left where it looks really gross, you're fine.
Okay.
But yeah, that's like, it seems like a lot, but honestly, altogether, it's a pretty basic way to get through the level and not watch any cutscenes in a nice speedy way. So yeah, now if you've done a few runs and maybe you're getting really comfortable with that and you want to, maybe you don't like that death strat, it's kind of annoying, or you want to see if you can do something a little faster, something you can graduate to is something called boost jump. Oh, I got stuck. Okay, I went through the level. Nice. That doesn't frequently happen. All right. So there's many ways to do this level. There are absolutely many ways to play stealthy approach. There's a strat called Void Drown, which is, we'll get into Void Drowning later, but it's a much more advanced strat. Wouldn't recommend it for people starting out. There's also a strat down here. This is called Periscope. You can like jump into here and get like launched out. Most people would advise like ever doing that strat because it's miserable. So I'm going to show you kind of a more basic way to go fast, which is called the boost jump. So the premises behind this jump is, if you notice, if you were to pause the game, when you unpause the game does not come back to like full speed right away. It kind of like has a little slowdown and then comes back up to speed. And we can use that to our advantage to, while the game is like speeding up, we can like mash jump and get more jump inputs than the game is planning for us to get. So essentially we can put in a triple jump in that time. And by using a triple jump, normally you aren't able to jump up to this little lighthouse here from this statue. But by using this boost jump technique, we'll get an extra little boost of air and be able to jump up there. So the inputs for how you would do this is you kind of jump and cane swing and then pause the game as you hit the ground. And then whenever you're ready, you just return to game and mash X. And it may have been a little hard to see, but we get a triple jump in there. It's very slight, but a slight boost is all you need. And so the only risk to this is you have to swing your cane. So you could break this statue, which would be very unfortunate. But I will kind of show it in action here. So we'll swing pause. Well, this is a problem. Yeah. As I said, as a consequence of boost jump, you can destroy the statue. So we'll get back to where we were. Maybe. So as I said, if you're just starting out with the run, definitely just go skip the cutscene, use the bees, and get over the cutscenes. It's a very, this isn't going to save you a lot more time over doing something like that. Maybe like, I don't know the exact numbers, but, probably like 10 seconds or so. Now, it's something to note here is like Bentley's talking right now, telling you about the clue bottles. If I were to pause, unpause, we don't get that slowdown because the game doesn't slow down or speed up during dialogue. So this trick isn't possible to do while somebody's talking to you. Ooh, had the boost jump there, just didn't get forward enough. Can be tricky, but there we go. And just like that, you can get up onto this lighthouse. It takes a lot of practice to kind of get the timing of those. As I said, you just kind of swing and pause, and then once you're ready, you return to game, and you just kind of mash X. And then once that, you can just jump out of bounds here, and we're right back where the other strat left off, right where these texture splits are. And yeah, as I said, you just kind of follow this line. You don't want to go to the left, you'll fall. You don't want to go back to the right, or you'll go back in bounds. just kind of follow the lines.
If you were doing a real run and you attempted this strat and you broke the statue, you could just do the other strat and take a bit of a time loss.
Yeah,
right?
you could just go watch the cuts or skip the cutscene and move on.
But the first strat. Okay.
Yeah.
So
So-
it's not the end of the world if you break the statue.
Exactly, which is the other nice thing about it is you kind of just, oh, I missed it. Okay, move on.
Yeah.
But yeah, after that, we'll just complete the level like you would normally would. So the interesting thing about Sly 1 is there's a lot of skips. There's a lot of really neat things. And in World 1 here, now normally in the game, you would have to get 7 treasure keys from each of the 7 levels. This is the only key we're going to get in World 1. This is it. Only because we have to leave the level. So we will unlock, and this will unlock the hub world. It's a lot to talk about in the first, few levels of the game. A lot of, movement tech, a lot of tricks to get into, a lot of just kind of laying out the groundwork. Once we kind of get a lot of these techniques down, that's the foundation, and everything else will be kind of the same moves. So when you get into the hub world here, you can just immediately load your game. And we use this as like a fast travel. It'll put you back in the center of the hub world, so we don't have to run up the path to get here. Just a short little tiny time save. So yet again, I'll kind of show what I'd say a more beginner friendly version of this if you just want to kind of, try it out once, do a cool skip in getting through World 1, and then I'll show the actually fast strat that people use. So normally here you'd have to get 3 treasure keys to open up this generator and destroy it to get through the electric tunnel. So what we can do is get that guard up there to shoot the generator for us. So if you want to try this beginner strat, you'll come over here, and I would just climb this little red pole, up across these roofs, and come to this guy. So this flashlight guard, if he spots us, he will spit at us, and his loogie has a homing to it, so it'll follow us a little bit, and we can kind of use that to our advantage. So we are going to run at him, and then he'll spot us, and we'll just kind of drop off the roof to the right, and his projectile will actually blow up the generator instead of hitting us, opening that path for us. So I'll wait till he turns around. We'll run at him. We'll get seen. We'll drop down. You just fall to the right. It's a very generous hitbox. You don't have to be very precise with it. There will be this little cutscene trying to open it, but we don't have to open it. We've already done the magic. And then you could just go on to the second part of the hub world, just like that. There will be a big cutscene right here. You can just watch it and move on. Now, as I said, if you've tried that, you've watched your cutscene, and you're like, okay, I want to go fast now. So we will do what is known as the loogie lunge. So a fast way we can get up to this roof, again, before you can still climb that pole, it's fine. But if you want to do it a little faster, you can actually jump off of this little lantern here. So you can just double jump at it, land it, and double jump again. And you can kind of get up on this roof. It's just a small little optimization if you don't want to run all the way around. So it's kind of the same principle. We're going to alert this guard, but instead of having him blow something up, we're going to have him shoot at us, and his projectile actually has a hitbox. So we're going to use the slope of this roof to have him jump at us, and we will jump off of the projectile as it's coming up the slope of this roof at us, allowing us to get a second jump and double jump. Okay. And then we can just jump over the roof. It sounds like a lot, but it's actually pretty straightforward. So we'll get alerted, and we're gonna bait the guard over to here. Once he sees us, we'll jump over this roof. And once he turns this corner, we're gonna double jump, and then double jump again when the projectile hits us. Now that can happen sometimes where you don't get enough height, and as I kind of showed there, just fall back down, double jump up the roof again, and then double jump when the projectile hits you. It's not going to hit you because of the slope of the roof. And you can double jump up over the roof. When you do this, you want to aim a little to the right here. As you can see, if you jump over the roof too far to the left, you will fall to the water and drown. So you just kind of want to aim to the right to land on this little roof. And then if we drop down, we can take this guy out, and as you can see, that pipe, that's where the other strat left off. It's just we don't have to watch the cutscene this time, whereas the other one will have to watch the cutscene. So you'll be able to just drop down, and we're in the second part of the hover world. You do want to be careful here, though. Basically, like everywhere that wood is, that's the cutscene trigger. It's huge. The cutscene trigger is massive, so you want to avoid that section entirely.
Okay.
So now we've got another blockade here. We need 7 keys to open this cannon to get us. It will shoot us up into the blimp up there to the boss. The trigger for it is like right where Sly's head is pointed, right in the center of that cannon. I'm standing on top of the trigger. You'd normally jump in the cannon, and then it would trigger the scene to launch you up there. So as long as we don't have to unlock this cannon, as long as we touch that trigger, it will initiate the cannon to the boss fight of World 1. So how we're going to do this is there's a feature in Sly where if you get stuck, drown, or fall to your death, the game will try to put you back at your last safe, grounded position. And those 2 keys are important. The last time you were on the ground, and we're safe. So if I'm right here, if I manage to fall off the level, it will put, if I jumped off from right here, it will put me back right here. Now we can abuse this. If you notice, when Sly hits the ground, a little dust of smoke comes out of his feet. That kind of signifies that he's touched the ground. But if we swing our cane before we touch the ground and jump again, you'll notice we don't get that puff of smoke. So to the game's knowledge, we have not touched the ground. I still have not touched the ground. So we can kind of move, we can kind of put our grounded position somewhere and then go get stuck somewhere else. And when the game tries to put us back, it will send us all the way back to wherever we last touched the ground. And when we do that, it ignores all collision. It doesn't care what you go through. Its focus is to put you back where you were. So if we were to say, put ourselves here and go drown somewhere straight ahead of us, it will try to put us back here and thus pass us through the cannon, putting us into the first boss fight. So these are called cane jumps. It's pretty forgiving. It's not actually that tough. You just press square X, square X, square X. So like I said, a good way to practice that is right here. Just jump and press square X. And like I said, if you don't see that little puff of smoke, you're doing it right. And once you kind of have this down, you can start to move around with it. And as long as you're not seeing that puff of smoke, you're doing it right. And once you kind of have a feel for it on level ground here, you can kind of give it a shot. And the goal here, and I'll kind of show this in action before I actually do the trick. So, normally, because you can get stuck right here between this barge and this ground, you can get stuck and it puts you back to your last safe spot. And so if I were to show off, like say maybe I started here and I do these little special jumps and I get stuck, it'll put me all the way back here. So we will use this spot as our spot to launch us back to the cannon. So we'll put our position slide like right here. It's not super precise, just somewhere in this back cannon area. And you'll start these jumps. It's gonna take some practice, especially like this, like these stairs, your elevation changes, so your jump timing's a little different. That's why I said just kind of practice it on flat ground first to get a feel for it, and then, you know, move up from there. And so we'll go here and we'll jump, and we'll do these special jumps. Square X, square X, square X. You just keep doing this until we can get stuck. And we'll pass through the cannon, and it triggers the cutscene to go to the first boss. And that will skip the entirety of the first world of the game.
That's awesome.
Cane jumps are very important. We're going to use that in a lot of different areas to skip through a lot of bosses. So something to note here. I'm not going to do it now because it's already a little too late. But there's a cutscene before every boss here. If you're on, say I'm on a backwards compatible PS3, I could reset the game here, and it would be a little faster to reset the game than watch the cutscene. On a PS2, it's faster to just watch the cutscene because it's slower to reset. And that's what makes the backwards compatible PS3 a little faster than the PS2, is that ability to reset the game and it be a little faster. So that's it. It's not a huge deal if you're on PS2. But this is our first boss, and we're just gonna kind of do it like normal. He'll take 4 hits. So for the first phase, you just run back and forth until he tires himself out. And he'll be vulnerable, and you can hit him. Now, if you hit him like I did there, you can save a little time, and I'll show why on this phase. If you just kind of normal cane swing him, I did a double jump swing, but if you just normal hit him, he'll fall into the water, drown a little bit, and jump up. Whereas if you do that kind of double jump swing, he gets hit as he's already returning to the top. It's like, it's the most minor of time saves. But
it's the one of those very small optimizations that you can go for.
So after he shrinks down here, I'm gonna pause the game. So loading in this game is very, as I said, it's very interesting. We already saw how load abusing can be used to do some funky things in this game. Because as I said, the game considers the file loaded the second you press load game. So anything you do after that kind of goes into the file you loaded. So what we can do here, when we beat the boss, a little cutscene is gonna play where it like shows us our new power up and has a little animated cutscene. But instead of that, we can press options, load, and we'll pick our file that we're playing on. And once I press load game, I will press square to swing the cane. And that will kill Raleigh on the file, but then it'll load the game before the cutscene can play. And then you can just exit and you beat the boss. So a little small thing before we leave World 1. You want to exit level, leaving Raleigh, because it puts you right next to this lucky charm. And lucky charms in this game are basically a second hit. If I get hit, the lucky charm goes away instead of me dying. And that'll be important for a skip coming up. So we're gonna take this charm and then we can exit to hideout. And we're done with World 1.
I took the liberty. We're all set to go to
So now we can start our World 2. It may seem pretty daunting. Like there's a lot of movement tech, a lot of tricks to this game. But as I'm also going to try and highlight is there are a lot of ways that you can just get through the run in a pretty safe way, and kind of, it's something I really like about Sly Speedrunning. It's a game that really lets you kind of learn a basic route and then start picking and choosing which things you want to start adding. You know, oh, let me try that strat next. Okay. It's not a lot. There's only a few things that feel like you have to learn this to run the game, which is really nice. All right, so we're in World 2. Sorry about that. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, I like speedruns like that, where it's like, okay, I have the basics, and now I can start very slowly implementing things that'll make it faster.
Yeah,
at my own
definitely,
pace.
I like that a lot. So now we're here in World 2, and I'm gonna show off another little skip here. Again, if you're not comfortable with this, you just play the level like normal. It's fine. But there is going to be like a cutscene that plays up there, and there's a lot of walking you have to do. Now this trick is actually pretty easy to do. So it's another one of those that I would definitely just, even if you're starting out, just give it a shot. It's actually not that bad. This is Cletus. That's actually his official name in the game. Cletus is our best friend. So we're gonna use Cletus to kind of proxy us. We'll get squeezed between Cletus and that wall, and he will launch us over the entire level. There's two ways to do this trick. I'm going to show you the pretty much guaranteed easy way to do this. There's another way that you can like get an even better launch, but you have like a couple frame window to hit the thing, and not something I'd recommend starting out, definitely. But so to set up Cletus, you'll see there's these rocks here, and they all kind of come to a point right where I'm standing. You want to stand right where these rocks come to a point. And Cletus can't hit you here. He can try, but you're safe. So if you look on the right side of my screen, you'll see this little rock, and it comes to a point. And if you position it so the right side of your screen is right where the rock comes to a point. So right here. So you can see there's that river in the background. There's this rock. And you just right there. This is the perfect camera setup for getting the launch with Cletus. And the reason you want to set this up so perfectly is from here, we can just use the D-pad. I personally love strats that use the D-pad because it means they go the same way every single time. So what we'll do is once Cletus starts charging at us, we will double jump holding up on the D-pad. And then when he snaps back like that, we will hold up and right. Just up and right on the D-pad, nothing else, just hold it in. And you will get launched over the level every single time. So I'll show that happens. So double jump forward. Oh, I went too early. That's okay. I didn't wait till he snapped back. As I said, the key is waiting for him to snap back, or else he'll just kill you. So double jump forward and he launches, wait till he snaps, upright. And you will get that kind of launch every single time. So I need that charm back. So I'm going to reload the game and we can start the trick again because I do need that charm. So a little small strat I didn't talk about too is instead of like climbing this pipe to get over this area, you can just jump on this rock and jump around. And that's just a little faster than climbing the pipe. Pretty easy jump. So let's set up Cletus again. We'll hit these rocks where they come to a point, right there. We'll turn our camera so it's right. And if you can't see it, just to kind of show it off, this is the rock I'm talking about. You can see it comes to this point. Cletus can hit you there. Good to know. But that's the rock I was talking about that you want to line your camera up to. So we'll get our charm back. I know he stretched that far though. That's impressive. He goes much further the one direction.
I didn't think that was going to be able to hit you. That didn't look in range.
You don't normally go over there.
That's fair.
That's kind of the funny speedrunner thing where like you do anything outside what you normally do for the run. You're like, I'm learning things.
Yeah.
So we'll put Sly right on this point, line the camera up, and then double jump forward, wait for the snap, upright, and up we go. And up we are. And then you can kind of just, this is a pretty generous area. There's a lot, you just don't want to go too far to the right. I just like to hold up. And you'll run towards this glass crane, and then you just fall down. And we're back in the level where you normally would be. And that skips a good like half the level. So like I said, as long as you get the camera lined up like I showed there and you're standing in the right point, it's always just up, upright, you'll launch. So then you'll just complete the level like you normally would. Now, as I said, there is a way where you can get Cletus to, if you change your upright input to an up, like there's like a couple frame window when he were to launch you, you can actually go higher and you'll land somewhere around here. And you'll just launch all the way to here and hit the key. And it's much faster, but it's much, much harder. Whereas the other way is like 100% consistency. The other way is absolutely not.
If you do the more advanced one and you mess up, is it a possibility of like landing off the level or something, like in a death plane?
Yeah, exactly. So if you press your up input, there's like many outcomes to it. If you press up too early, you won't go high. You'll just go horizontal and you'll just launch straight into like the death plane. If you press it, too late or miss it entirely, Cletus will just kill you. So there's a lot of risk involved with doing it that way. So it's risk reward, save a little time, but risk losing it. I don't normally go for it. I've been trying to learn to do it more consistently, but it's definitely tough. So same thing we did in World 1. Just load game whenever you get into the hub world. And it puts you right into the center of the hub world. And Bentley's gonna have a cutscene here, so you can load game again, and it skips the cutscene. So now we're in World 2 Hub World. So we're gonna make our way forward, and we're gonna do kind of similar to the sign in the first level. We're going to get a big launch, a nice, as we call it, catapult. This is another strat that does not work on the PS3 remaster. This is a PS2 only kind of thing. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the kind of area between this rock and this wall to go get launched up over the level. We're gonna squeeze slide into an area that he's not supposed to be in, so the game will just force us out. So let's see if I can show that off first. So just to kind of show the result, that's what we'll be aiming to get. And how this works is you'll see there's a big rock and a little rock. So you kind of want to stand on the little rock and you kind of point your camera somewhere around here. There's like these two mossy bits and the cracks in the wall and just somewhere in this kind of general area. And look at the wall. And what you'll end up doing is you jump towards the wall. I kind of hold upright. You'll jump towards the wall and swing your cane as you're landing. And that will squeeze slide into the area he's not supposed to be in. You just do a single jump and then push upright and swing your cane. And it will force slide up and out and you'll get up to here. Depending on your camera angle, you can get like weaker launches sometimes. This is another one of those, it's very weird. Like those are the inputs you push. One of the key things is making sure you do a like neutral jump at first and then push upright instead of just, jumping towards the wall. Because if you just jump towards the wall and swing, you're gonna get a really sad launch like that. So just jump, swing your cane, and up you go. And you can land on this little roof up here. So we're trying to skip into the casino instead of doing it the way you're supposed to. And you'll kind of see over here that there's this little light triangle on this roof. This is the only place you'll be able to land on this whole roof, and that's the direction we're headed. So we're gonna have to make a Hail Mary double jump from this roof to that one. This is a pretty tight jump. It'll take some practice in like learning to double jump at the right time to get the most height. If you double jump too soon, you can see like slides just gonna like kind of flop, whereas if you wait a little bit, you get a lot more height. you get a little boost. Whereas if you just double jump right away, you don't get as much upward momentum. So that's kind of one of those things where you just practice delaying your double jump to you're at like the height of your jump to get the most height out of it. And what I like to do here is when I'm in position, which is like right here, once I make the double jump, I just like to mash X so that you know if you hit that you'll automatically just Sly will jump immediately. Now I missed it, as I said, kind of tough. You may miss it for a while. It's okay, you can just come back down and try your launch again. Ooh, that can happen. The camera angle is very important here. If your camera kind of twists like that, you can kind of get messed up. And there's lots of really good, thorough tutorials out there by many members of the Sly community that go into some of these tricks in like immense detail. So if there's ever something you're like not getting, having trouble with, not only is there lots of community members that know an absolute insane amount of knowledge of this game, but there's also lots of video guides and tutorials out there of people kind of explaining when things go wrong, why they're going wrong. Now I am messing up. I'm doing the difficult part and messing up the simple part somehow.
And that's how it always is. Like when you're trying to like show something off or teach something, it's like, yeah, I can't do this easy part anymore. Like,
right.
I don't understand.
I can do the fancy launch up to the roof, but then just jumping over the roof. It is a very tight jump. Definitely, like, it's not one you want to underestimate. The double jump to that little light part of the triangle. And as you can see, like, angle here is very important. My camera twisted. Your camera angle here is very important, and there will be times where you're just going to get kind of baby launches. Just kind of adjust your angles, find a good camera lineup, and line up with Sly that works for you. I might readjust Sly a little bit here just to make sure. But the nice thing is there's not a lot of risk of dying or anything like that. It's just, oh, I got a bad launch, just come down and try it again.
This one in particular, I guess I don't know how the second part is, but it looks like at the very least, like, this is something you could complete. Like, you do the trick and you're like, all right, let's run it back again right now, and then you just come back to this one.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those tricks, too, that's like, you know, you can do it like 100 times in a row, and then suddenly you mess it up once, and you're like, I think I forget everything about this trick.
You're like a year into the speed run and you start missing up the simple thing. You're like, I guess I don't know how to do this anymore.
Wow, I am not sure what's going on here. I gotta take it back, line it up. I guess it gets to highlight how this can be. That
there's a lot of practice that goes into this one.
Yeah, definitely. And lots of mistakes can happen here, but it's okay.
And it's all part of the learning process.
Yeah.
So this is something that you will see, like, this is something every runner experiences. Maybe not specifically this trick, but in general, like, this is the behind the scenes learning at seeing a speedrunner learn a trick. Like, there is a jump that I spent in one of my speed games. I spent like 4 hours learning a single jump, basically, that saved like a minute. It wasn't even required. But it was like, I just spent like 4 hours just to get it once. Not even mastering it. It's just like, I spent 4 hours to complete the jump one time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've definitely had things like that. Absolutely. Or the thing you like you try it once in practice and you get it first try and you're like, oh, this is easy. And you're like, I'm not going to practice this anymore. And then you find out it was like the hardest thing ever and you got lucky.
Yeah, and you're like, you talk to other people, it's like, I spent like 6 hours in getting used to that. You're like, oh.
I am not really sure why I'm getting these really sad launches. I may reload the game.
So that was one thing I was gonna ask. Like, I don't know. So I don't know anything about this game or the speedrun, but like, did you, when falling, did you like fall at a weird out of bounds place or something that's kind of like messing with your position? Because I've played a few games like that where with the out of bounds shenanigans, it kind of messes with your hitbox, I guess.
Yeah, so like, it technically shouldn't, but at some point, it's almost like a mental thing too, you know, right? Like you're used to doing it a certain way, and then you kind of come at it differently, and you're like, everything's not how I'm used to. And sometimes it's good to just get that kind of reset, go back at it, and get up there.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel that, especially like in a speedrun sense. Like it's very much at least after you've practiced it for a while, it's like, I know how to do it this way. And even like coming at it from like, even as something as silly as like, instead of starting here, I'm starting 8 steps to the left can be the world of difference. Like
but again, I mean, it's kind of, this will be one of probably 2 areas where something like this might happen. And it's just, it's almost a good thing I didn't just kind of fly through it the first time as I got that launch. And I was like, oh yeah, you just do that and then do the jump and you're good. Because I promise you, as Kitsune said, like, this happens to everybody. This is definitely one of those tricks in the game that at some point in everybody's learning, they've, you know, asked people for help. And like, I don't understand. I was doing this fine the other day, and today I'm not able to do it at all. What am I doing wrong?
And I mean, like, it's nothing on the player or anything, or even like, it's just how it is. It's part of the learning process. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Like you said, everybody has this. Like, you might not see it. It might happen in practice, like off stream, but like everybody runs into this. So it's not a big deal if like one day you're like, I think I should, you know, try this again, or like you pick it up and it's not working. Like, maybe reset, maybe just try it tomorrow, you know.
Yeah, exactly. But there we go. I'm past my mental block. We're back up here. So as I said, you kind of want to double jump to that triangle, and I just like to mash X so you know you get your double jump. And we're going to kind of come up onto this out of bounds area. So once you're up here, you don't want to just jump straight into the casino straight away. You'll see like it's just a void. It's not loaded in. The first area is still loaded. So we need to kind of jump into a certain area and get the camera to load in the second part of the world. So if I run over here, you'll see if I turn my camera into the casino, the first part of the world will disappear and the second part will appear. And you'll see this brown cube straight ahead. Let's get a little closer. Brown cube. This is where you want to jump to get into the second area. No, you could just blind jump it. If I were to just go, I could just blind jump onto it. But as you're learning and starting out, it really helps to turn your camera into the casino area so you can see this is where, because if you were to jump straight over here, you'd fall into the void and die. You need to make sure you grab that brown cube. So no shame in just turning your camera in to get a good look at it and get up here. And now you can see we're on the brown cube, and I can just run around on it and we can load in the second area. And yeah, so this skips needing to get the 3 keys at the start to open the casino. Now you can kind of see it there. There's a little banister here. Just follow it. You can see I'm on top of it. So you can just follow it all along. We're gonna go all the way to Mugshot's face there. Now normally you would go right down into there. I'm gonna take a quick detour here and go into this level just so I have like a checkpoint. So if I want to show this off again, or if I mess it up, I will be able to return to this very quickly. So now I'm out here. So as I said, you normally just follow the banister and drop down into that area. I'm gonna take a little detour here. You wouldn't normally do this. So this is definitely, this is where we will test your cane jumping abilities. If you weren't super comfortable with cane jumping in World 1, this is where it will do it to you. So as a refresher, the cane jumps are where you jump and press square right before you land, so the slide doesn't get that puff of smoke on the ground. And this is to hold your grounded position somewhere else and then get stuck in another place so you can go through stuff. And our goal here, this big head, you can kind of see the cigar smoking there. The big mugshot head, that's the trigger for the second world boss fight. We want to go through it so that we can skip every level in this world. So we'll position ourselves in this curtain, and you will cane jump all the way over to this plant, down onto that pink carpet, and onto the other side of the face. This one's very tricky because you're doing a double jump from here all the way down to that pink carpet and continuing the cane jump. You can't touch the ground. So as I said, this will definitely test your ability to change up the timings of these square X inputs. So it's very good to kind of just jump around on flat ground and make sure you get when you're supposed to press square and X. And so to kind of show what that looks like, you want to be just run into this corner, as far into this corner as you can. And a small note to remember is I have this lucky charm because I'm going to drown here. If I didn't have this charm, I would just die. But the charm allows you to take an extra hit, so instead of dying, it puts us back at our last safe spot, which is going to be here, on the other side of the mugshot head. So we will go like this, and I will do some cane jumps, and you can kind of hold these here until you're ready, and we'll kind of get to the edge. You can kind of inch yourself to the edge if you're not comfortable with the jump to the pink area. You can just sit here and kind of inch yourself to the edge to give yourself as much of an advantage as possible. And when you're ready, just jump, double jump, and then swing your cane before you hit the ground and come over to the other side of this mustache. And when the game tries to put you back where you belong, you pass through the boss trigger. That one will take a lot of practice. World 2 in general will take a ton of practice. And the reason it kind of is so rough is because, as you can kind of see, doing the levels normally is just like so much slower. So it's definitely like that's like the one part of the realm where you're like, I got to get this. I have to understand this.
Yeah.
But as I said, if you just sit there and practice those cane jumps on the ground, it kind of starts to become muscle memory that you'll build up, and then it's just going where you have to go. But I am showing here that the reset to skip the boss cutscene. And that just gets us right into the mugshot fight without having to watch that cutscene. Now again, that really, I think mugshot is actually slightly faster to reset even on a PS2. So this is like the one time where you would just reset it always. So we're just doing the fight as normal. You hit these mirrors and make it really hot. And we're just going to kind of beat mugshot here. Now I'll kind of explain something in phase 3. You can speed up phase 3. Not something I would recommend for your first runs. It's not a whole lot slower to just do it normally, but it's definitely pretty neat to do. And once you kind of get it, it's not that difficult too. So in phase 3 of this fight, mugshot will stand on a center chandelier in the top here. If I can get a good pause here. He's standing on this center chandelier, and there's mirrors all around it. And if you hit all the mirrors, it ends the fight. So, normally you would just like jump between all these points by pressing X and circle, and hit the mirrors one by one until he dies. A faster strat you can do actually is by jumping with, what I like to do is single jump up right, double jump up. I just use the D-pad for it. You can ledge grab the chandelier, and by tapping X, pull yourself up onto it, and then just run around in a circle swinging the cane to hit all the mirrors in one fell swoop and kill Mugshot easy. And one thing that helps with this strat is right when you hit the last mirror, Mugshot will be shooting you. So he'll shoot you, you'll die, and the game will reload as the cutscene starts to play. So it essentially does the cutscene skip that we were talking about on the first boss without having to do the load game shenanigans. So let's see if I can show off the kind of faster strat. As I said, you would do an up right for a single jump and then up for a double jump. And you should usually always ledge grab Mugshot here. Up, up. And we ledge grab, pull ourselves up. And you just hit all the mirrors. Oh. That was interesting. Actually, that was super interesting. I've never seen that one before. He killed me before the mirror hit him. Well, I hate to do the cliche, but that's definitely not one I've ever had happen before. That is the chandelier strat though. You do an upright jump, an up single jump, and then just hit all the mirrors. And when you hit the last mirror, it will end the Mugshot fight. We just get to show it off again. I think it's gonna be a whole night of things that I haven't seen before. Catapult giving me trouble, Mugshot. This fight is honestly my least favorite boss fight in the game, probably. I don't know what other people's least favorite boss fights are. Mine is absolutely this one.
I haven't played it, so I can just agree with you if you want.
Yeah, just take my word for it.
Yeah, no, this is the worst boss in the game.
And then we let's grab 2, 3, 4. I missed one of the mirrors. Oh no. You do have to.
Unfortunate.
You can't just spam the cane there. You do have to time the cane swings to make sure that you're adequately hitting the mirrors. If you spam them too fast, like I did there, you'll notice that Sly will actually swing a little too fast, and you can miss the mirrors. It is something that can happen.
Good thing I got a spare upstairs.
Yeah, I believe what happened the first time, like I see Fire telling, is that I think I missed the first mirror on the first attempt when I was doing the jump. Which I think was a consequence of me pausing the game before I started it. Again, it's one of those things where it's like, you're used to doing it one way, and when you kind of mix it up, it's like you're not used to your usual timings.
Pausing it definitely screws up like a speedrunning, like muscle memory.
2, 3, 4. There we go. Oh, I didn't get the pause. If this were to happen, that was actually really fast. You can just reset the game. Because the second you can see it in the bottom left, we got the little save icon. The second it begins, the game saves itself. So the cutscene after the boss is very, very long though. If something like that were to happen, you still would not want to watch the cutscene. Surprisingly, I actually went a little too fast, and I beat Mugshot before he could kill me. Normally, you would get knocked out there at the end, and it would just skip the cutscene immediately. That's okay. So, we can just exit the level, and we're done with World 2. can also view map to go back to the van too, is another option.
I figured out a way to get it.
So now we can get to World 3. World 3 is a difficult world, but if the worlds 1 and 2 skips scared you, there's no way to skip into the third boss like the first 2 worlds for World 3. It is the great white whale of sly speedrunning, is the World 3 skip. So we will be doing these levels as intended. So, as I've kind of been saying before, if you were doing the run, you know, doing your first run, just play this level. Just play it like you normally would. And just get through the level, and that's fine. Another kind of strat you can do here, which I'll kind of show off, I'll try to, is what is called van proxy. Once you're kind of, you know, graduated from just playing the level like normally and you want a little more advanced strat, van proxy is a pretty neat trick. This is one that will be a little difficult to explain, and it's one when you're learning. There's a very nice video out there. There's a few actually that can really kind of show you the exact motions to do for this. But when you get spit out of the van, you can do a full jump to the left to kind of get over to this door. And what we're gonna do is squeeze ourselves in between the door of the van and this branch, and we can kind of get launched out of it. So once I'm in this spot, I'll turn my camera this way until I can't turn it anymore. And then I will run left into this door. And then I will, once the camera's kind of settled and it's not moving anymore, I can move up left and get into this spot. That was weird, and this might not work now. Let me reset that. That little camera. The camera is very important here. That's the whole premise of this kind of trick, is that the camera is very important. So that camera jitter is definitely not something you want to see. So we'll do this. I'll turn the camera until I can't turn it anymore. Wait for it to settle. Hold left. Wait for the camera. Hold up left. And then, so what you want to do here, I'm going to open the map, let off the up left running, and close the map. What this does is it basically lets go of up and left at the literal exact same frame, because when it comes out of the map, you've let go of the buttons, so the game does it for you. So you don't have to worry about, you know, letting off the buttons on the same frame yourself, because that's pretty difficult. So then I can just turn the camera. Usually like to just cover a little bit. You can kind of see the van to the left. Just like to cover the nose a little bit of the van, kind of like that. And then if you've set yourself up right, you should be able to just hit down on the D-pad. And occasionally, we'll try it one more time, you will get launched to the end of the level. As I said, this one is very, you know, every small movement here is extremely important. And as I said, if you're just learning how to run, just play the level like normal. This strat is very funky, and it will feel like some days it just does not work. And that's just, you know, it'll be like that sometimes. So as I said, I'll try it one more time. If it doesn't work, it doesn't want to be shown today, and that's okay. But one of the main keys of this strat is making sure that you are letting the camera stop moving before you do your next move. Okay, well, we didn't get our launch, but you can kind of see the premise. If your camera's absolutely correct, you will launch in the correct direction. But if that's seeming to be too difficult or just giving you a lot of trouble, you can just play the level like normal. And I could show a few ways you can kind of optimize that and make that better. So you don't want to do the fancy strat. So you just want to play the level like normal. So you can come down here, slide these vines, and this is all just normal level stuff. And when you get to here, you can bounce on this vine, and what you could do with this vine is double jump And sometimes you can grab that ledge with that charm. If you miss it, it's again, not a big deal. You can bounce off here and double jump over to the left and land on that thing. Just a small way you don't have to do like a good amount of the level. Did unfortunately miss the jump there, but that's okay. We get to show it all off again. And again, I can't stress enough that like a lot of these tricks just take, they just take a lot of practice. And sometimes, there's absolutely, no shame in just, being like, that's a little too difficult right now. Let me just do things like I normally know how to do them.
I was gonna say, like, these are also, like, probably strats you don't exactly... You know how to do them, but you probably haven't done, like, the backup strats in a while, so... It can be
I'm usually always doing, like, the van proxy or something, and, when you're doing runs, you're just like, I didn't get it, I'll just start a new run. Sometimes you're not doing these backup strats anymore. So when you get to this point, normally you're supposed to, like, use, you can see the blue sparklies, you're supposed to sneak under this guard who has the flashlight. You can actually just jump onto this little elephant statue and jump up here instead of that. Now, behind this guard, right on that ramp, is a cutscene with Bentley. And you can actually skip it by jumping around it. And this may seem pretty difficult, but it's actually not that bad. If you jump at this tree right around here, you want to aim more towards the right of the this little flat edge of the tree. You can actually just jump off the tree and jump into the next section instead of watching that cutscene. So you jump, hit the tree, and just jump over to here. And once you do that, you've skipped the cutscene, and you just hit these 5 candles to finish the level. So we'll just hit that one, and there's one more down here. Those guards are brutal and relentless and will take you out. You never want to take a risk with them. You don't want to hit them either because they will alert their friends and take you out unless you're very sneaky and can get one from behind. It's really just you do the path I took and it will work out for you every time. And so like I said, we don't have a fancy skip here. So we are just going to be playing the level like we normally would. All of them. So we're going to load game here to get us into the center of the hub world. And we'll just start taking these levels one by one. So let's go here into Lair of the Beast. If we have any aspiring glitch hunters out there, as I said, the skip for World 3 is one of the greatest white whales of Sly speedrunning. So, in the Lair of the Beast, we'll start this cutscene at the beginning, and we'll load game. That just skips the cutscene. And then we'll start playing the level. A little shortcut you can take here is you can actually land on this little tree base right here. You can kind of land on this. So if you jump up here, you can actually double jump and press circle, and Sly will, because Sly has a little lenience where if you press circle, he'll try and latch onto objects if they're nearby. So you can kind of skip up to this by pressing circle as it's the closest object to him at that point. And we'll continue up. And so normally if you've played this game before, this level you kind of proceed through it, and then you get chased by a big snake through this whole level till you get to the key. We can actually skip that entire snake chasing sequence by using this wall I'm looking at, and we can just run along this wall to the key. So there's 2 ways you can do this. There's a very easy way and a more challenging way. You may want to do the challenging way solely because this kind of movement tech I'm about to teach is used in a lot of places, and this is a very easy spot to practice it on and get good at it on. Very low risk place to learn this. So Before I show this though, I could show the simple strat. The simple strat, if you want to get out of bounds here, is there's this brown mask. You can actually double jump and press X to pull up onto this little left point of it. And if you're up here, you can actually just double jump to the left and Sly can grab this retaining wall. And now you can get out of bounds. So this is the simple way. If you really want to just get to the end of the level, you just jump down here, get on this, and jump up to the wall. Pretty simple. But if you want the more advanced strat, it's gonna use what we'll call a bone jump. So when Sly presses circle to grab onto objects, you can hear that noise. When that noise happens, that means Sly has latched onto the object. But the noise actually happens before Sly hits the bone. If you can hear it. So, the moment you hear that noise, the game considers Sly attached to the bone and you can jump off it. So if you jump away from the object, press circle, and then jump when you hear the sound, you can actually jump before Sly's actually on the bone visually, but the game considers him on it already. Like that. And that, essentially, you could call it a way you can get a triple jump off of grabbable objects. And that is kind of a faster way that you can get up here. And like I said, this is a very risk-free, safe place to practice this bone jump movement and to hear the sound and try and jump when you hear the sound to kind of give you a little extra boost. If you see, if I just try and double jump from here, you'll see how far I can make it. Not very far. But with the bone jump, we can get all the way over to here. And we'll use that much later in a lot of other places. So it'll take some practice, but like I said, just jump when you hear the sound. So once we're on this wall, we can just double jump and just follow the wall. Follow the wall. When you get to here, you can just go into this corner and double jump, and you'll get up onto this part of the wall, and you can just jump down back into the level. And this is the end of the level. So yeah, we can just hit the key and get out of the level. Now something that I haven't gotten to show yet, because we haven't played an actual level other than an intro level yet, is there's an animation that plays whenever you get these keys where Sly like spins it around his cane and puts it in his backpack. We can skip that whole thing by exiting the level right when you get the key. So if you swing at the key and press start, you can select exit level because the game saves immediately. And it skips that little animation. It's a little couple seconds here and there, but every level you can do it on, you save a good amount of time. So, we'll go to our next level in World 3.
How many levels are there in each world generally?
How many what?
How many levels are there in each world typically?
Each world has
like,
7 levels.
7? Okay.
Yeah. That was an impressive death I took there. So in most of the hub worlds, they break it up into, you need 3 or 4 keys to get through the first area, and then it unlocks the second area, which has more keys to finish the level. We just have been skipping all of them so far. So, just play this level. I'm gonna regret even saying it. There is a way you can skip this level. It is called fish skip. I would not recommend even considering doing fish skip for it. I still don't do fish skip myself when I do runs of this game. It is what I would call one of the absolute last things you should ever learn when speedrunning this game. When you finally exhausted all the other tricks you can learn, then you can maybe ask yourself, am I ready for fish skip? So if you want to learn something of fish skip, you can kind of, start doing some runs of the game, and then you can start adding it to your runs later. But essentially what it is there's that gate up there, you can kind of wedge the boat between the gate and the wall and kind of wiggle it back and forth. And if you get it at the exact right angle with the right wiggles, you can actually kind of clip through and just complete the level without doing the fish mini game. But it is extremely inconsistent. No one's ever found a very consistent strat for it yet. Not like 100% consistency. And it's definitely something that most people recommend you don't touch for a very long time. So just do the fish level. So we have one more level in the first area of this world. So when getting to this level, you can just come over here, jump on this, and just go around this guard like so. And this will get you to the level. This is just fine. If you want to do it just like a teeny bit faster, you can actually come up here and double jumping at the right time, you can actually grab that ledge and pull yourself up. Like that. If you mess that up even once, it wasn't worth the time save. So it's definitely not worth doing until you're very comfortable with it.
Those are always the favorite strats of mine, where it's like, yeah, if you mess this up, you lose like 20 seconds.
Right. But this saves a second. If you mess it up once, don't worry about it.
You save half a second if you succeed. If you mess up, you waste 20 seconds.
So I don't know why I came down here. So this is Grave Undertaking, and you don't need to go down there. I don't even know why I went down there. I've run a lot of Sly 100%, and I have a lot of muscle memory from running 100% of this game. So another level we can kind of skip everything for. So right at the start here, before you do anything else, you just come into the level, kill the ghost, and get the charm. We're chilling right here. You can actually jump here to the left and land on this root. And from the root, you can actually ledge grab this thingy, the log. So this is a kind of difficult strat, but this level is extremely long. So it's definitely one that's worth practicing. So this part's pretty simple. You just get up here and you just want to double jump up to this log. You want to be careful up here. You want to be facing towards that tree, because if you're facing any other way, you'll see Sly just like can't stay up here when he's facing this way. So you definitely want to be facing this way, and Sly will be able to stay up here. It's just the way the collisions are. And then you can see this tree in front of us has all these little branches, and there's this one that's close to us, it's sticking up. You want to jump towards it, this branch that's sticking up, and Sly will actually be able to grab it. And you can tap X to pull yourself up. And this is another one of those areas where, like I said, tapping X to pull yourself up onto a ledge is very beneficial, because a lot of the times you can't see what you're doing here. So like moving any direction is just dangerous. Just let the game safely pull you up onto the ledge for you. So you can see this branch now on the left of my screen. All these branches have collision. So we can just hop these branches until we get out of bounds. So I can jump to here, and we're out of bounds. There's a lot of weird walls out here. Kind of just want to stay kind of close to this tree. If you go over to the right there, you're gonna fall to the ground, and you don't really want to do that. Just kind of stay close to this tree, and you can run until you fall down to here. If you run to the left, you can fall into this gap, and just stay close to the tree. And you can run all the way out of bounds. And you can see, if I open the binocular, there's the end of the level. We're right there. So we just need to get back in bounds. So we can come to this tree here, come up onto this slope, and you can jump up onto the tree. And from there, you can drop back into bounds. I did mess that jump up a little bit, and we will redo that. Jump up onto the tree, and jump back in bounds. So yeah, just like that, you can just run forward, And we're at the end of the level. Get the key and we're done. That trick can be very tricky just because there's a lot of like, you can't see some stuff sometimes because the camera's very weird. So it's definitely one you want to just take piece by piece, you know, jump to the branch. Okay, I got here. Where do I got to go to next? Look the camera around and go, okay, there. So we have all our keys and you could go down there and use them to unlock the next area, or you could actually come right here, right next to the level, and just jump into this wall. You can actually jump up to it. And that's what's called a slope jump. Because this wall is kind of angled, Sly gets a little bit of a height boost going up it. Because he kind of slides a little bit. So you can use the slope to get up here. And just get into that. Even though we can get here normally, it's still faster to just do it this way. You don't have to take that guy out, I was just doing it. So I can just talk here. So we have the rest of the 3 less levels to do. You could do them in, what would that be? Clockwise order or counterclockwise? I believe doing it in counterclockwise is just a tad faster. So we'll start here with down home cooking. The chicken level. This is a level. Definitely one of my least favorite levels in the run. You hit chickens. You gotta hit 50 of them to appease the ghost with some gumbo, and he will give you a key for your troubles. So really, after you've killed about 10 chickens, the roosters will spawn. If the roosters hit you, you will die. So when the roosters blow up, when they collide with each other or something, you want to avoid the edges because you don't want a rooster to just pop out where you're standing and hit you before you had a chance to even react. But ideally, you just want to do what I'm doing right now. Just run laps around the room to keep the roosters chasing you. While you kind of just swing your cane over and over again and hit chickens. You may get some unfortunate rooster spawns. You just kind of got to react to it. And you never want to be... Oh! I got caught on the wall. I was just about to say, you never want to be greedy though. You never want to like double back for a chicken or something just because there's none in front of you. Just commit to your path, commit to your circle, keep hitting chickens. If you do die a couple times on this level, I believe it does kind of make it easier on you in the sense I think it spawns the roosters a little later. So after like, 12 chickens or 15 chickens, it's kind of like a noob mode. This is by far one of my least favorite levels in the run though.
This one looks tedious.
It's just like, it's such a fun platformer-esque game, and then there's this.
Yeah. It almost feels like a weird mini game.
So this is one of the moments you could get kind of tempted. You're like, oh, I only need 2 chickens. It's like, you don't want to hit a rooster at 49. Just commit to your path, you'll find a chicken.
Yeah.
So same thing, I can hit the key and exit level, and we don't have to watch the animation. Cool. So now our next level. Another non-platforming level. This is a, I'm not gonna call it an auto-scroller, but you get on this little turret and you have to just shoot out all the stuff till you get to the end of the level. There's no tricks here, there's no special strats, just go as fast as you can. This guy, actually, if you stay in this upper right part of the boat, This guy actually can't hit you. So if you want to play it safe, this guy has no way of hitting you up here. But yeah, it's kind of unfortunate, you know, that World 3 has no major skip in it, and you could argue that World 3 actually has some of the worst levels in the run.
Oh, that's the worst. Well, hopefully, if there's any, you know, glitch hunters out there who haven't seen Sly yet, they can figure something out.
Oh gosh. Okay, we're good.
You never know, because I mean, we've had games like Ocarina of Time and Wind Waker in the past, you know. I want to say year or two, but part of me is afraid that was actually like 4 years ago now.
Oh my gosh, I do that all the time now. I'm like, oh yeah, that was just like 2 years ago, right? It's like it was 2015. I'm like, yeah, 2 years ago.
But I'm gonna say like it was last year or 2 years ago. I might be a little off, but like games like Wind Waker and Ocarina of Time have had like huge developments in the past, you know, few years. So it's not impossible for games like Sly or anything from this generation to, you know, have major breakthroughs even in 2022.
I think the main barrier for it has always been that, like, unlike the other worlds, the World 3 boss trigger doesn't actually spawn in until you, like, use the 7 keys. So,
okay.
Like, even if you were to just use, like, you know, some sort of tool to put yourself up there right when you get in the world, there's no boss trigger up there until you actually unlock the means to get there. So it's definitely like a tough puzzle to crack.
Yeah, you're not really able to use the standard methods you have.
Right. It's very weird. It's the only world that's like that. Okay, one more world here, and then we'll be done with World 3. So, this is another pretty difficult level, depending on how you want to do it. So, this is where another level that will... This is where, as I said in Lair of the Beast, you'll learn to do bone jump. This is a level that will test your ability to do bone jump if you really want to be fast. You can actually use bone jump to jump up to where that guard is using this bone. Now this is pretty advanced, and there's, like I said, there's ways you can do it without it, and I will show those ways. So I'll show the easy way first. The normal way you can do this and still go fast, you can come over to here, to the end of this bone, and you can actually do the bone jump. You technically don't even need a bone jump. You can actually just double jump up there, but if you want to be safe, a bone jump will guarantee you always get up there. And I actually, yeah, I'm gonna hold. I don't want that guard to see me. And like that, and you can get up here. And that's a very simple way. Again, you don't need a bone jump. It just makes it very easy if you have the bone jump. Now, a more advanced way that is very much more difficult, but a lot faster, is you can actually do it from this side, right when you enter the level. You can jump towards like the corner of that, and you can latch onto this bone and then double jump when you hear the noise. Oh, missed the jump. Let's do that again. And you can actually jump up like that, which is just a little faster than crawling all the way to the other side, but it is a much more difficult jump, so it's definitely one to practice. So once we're there, the end of the level is through that waterfall, and you're supposed to go through the whole level. You unlock a little like slidey pole, and you slide through the waterfall over the water into the key. But we have a way to skip the entire level. So first we have to get over there. So you can actually climb up this little branch, or you can also double jump up to here. Tap X and you can get up here, and then you can jump over to here and over onto these kind of snake pillars. So now, underneath of us is a body of water, and the key is right beyond it. So this is a weird one, but this is what is called scuba. So the death plane for this water actually cuts off at a certain point. And so what we want to do is jump such that we're going to jump down to the water and then double jump such that we get over the death plane. And once we're past it, the game won't check again for us to die, and we can just run underneath the body of water to the key. So you want to kind of position yourself right here, kind of at the corner of this thing. And like I said, you'll jump down and then double jump forward towards the water. And if you do it right, you should just, as it's called scuba, just dip under the water and not die. Now I have a charm here, so I get a second chance at this if I mess this up, but I'll kind of show what that looks like. So jump and double jump. I did mess it up, so we get another shot. This is another one that will take a lot of practice. Takes a good just kind of feel for where that spot is and how you need to jump to get there. There we go. And we've jumped past the death trigger, and now I can just run underneath the body of water and get to the key. Just like that. And so now we have all the keys of World 3. I'm going to the chickens level just as a fast travel, just to get us closer to the end. And we will unlock our boss fight. Ms. Ruby. Alright, I'm gonna wait for this to spin around. We'll jump on it. And so now, right when you this like, unlocking those keys makes that little sewer grate thing raise up. This is where the boss cutscene, the boss trigger gets spawned. So right now, anytime before this, the trigger for the boss, which is up in this kind of alligator skull, hasn't spawned in yet. So that is the difficulty of World 3 skip.
Okay.
We will reset to skip the cutscene. So while we reset, the bone jump does not specifically need to be on bones, rather any pole that you can climb, like kind of shimmy across. So it could be, you know, the metal pipes in World 2, and will actually really utilize it on a metal pipe in World 5 too. But yeah, anything that you shimmy across like the bones. I think it's just what it was called. Probably was discovered on the bones. So, Ms. Ruby is a rhythm game boss fight. We actually have plenty of skips here though, so it's definitely not just to push the buttons and win. So our first skip will be right here. So normally you go and you hit Ms. Ruby and it starts there's a big cutscene where she explains to you the rules of the game. And we can actually skip that entire cutscene. From this tooth, there's this vine in front of us. We can actually land on that vine. So if you jump towards it, you can actually land on it and just match X and you can jump up this wall. And now we're out of bounds. So the interesting thing about this fight is if we enter, how many lives do I have? Okay. If we enter the body of water behind where she is right now, that's where the second part of the fight is. And if we enter that body of water, the game will say the only way you could have got here is if you got to the second phase. So it'll just put us in the second phase of the fight, allowing us to skip the cutscene. Because clearly the only way we could have got there is if we got to the second phase. So there's some kind of, I'm just doing this out of habit, but there are some big jumps here. These are easy jumps, you just have to know where to jump. So you can jump onto this little thing, branch, and if you just jump to the right, there's a ledge here. it's just a jump to the right. And then if you jump towards that like purple skull there, oh, there we go. There's actually another higher ledge here. And so from here, we can just run along it and drop down into the water behind her. And we die back here, and that's okay, because we've entered the body of water behind her. And so because of this, we just get into the rhythm game right away. So, if you didn't know, there's a rhythm game here. You don't actually have to press the button to the timing. You can just mash all the buttons.
If you just mash every button, it works.
You just mash the buttons, and there's no check on like, there's no delay. There's no. You can just hit them all. If you've played the remaster for this game, you will unfortunately know that this fight is a mess, and it has a huge audio delay and ruins the entire point of the rhythm game boss. So it's definitely a more enjoyable experience on PS2. But yeah, there's no need to, actually time them. Just mash the buttons and you'll get through it without any issue. You'll never miss an input. It's actually funny, there's a task of this game that was made, and this part of the task, a lot of people worked on that task. Definitely go check it out if you haven't seen it. But the task does this fight by putting in basically an input every frame, since you can mash the buttons. And you can hear it. It makes a noise when you mash. So if you hit the button like once every frame, it just sounds like, I don't even know, I can't even describe the noise, but it was the funniest thing I've ever seen. It's definitely worth a watch. So once we put this last input in, so I'm going to attempt a skip here. So we have two more phases. Well, there's one more phase after this. We can actually skip the phase entirely, and I hope I didn't mess it up by pausing. If I did, that's okay. So what you can do here is I will go down there, I will load the game, and then mash cane swing. And in that, you can actually hit Ruby twice as she's teleporting away and end the fight a phase early if you do it correctly. It's a very tight window, but it skips an entire phase of this fight. This is definitely a tough strat and a risky one, because if you load without getting the double hit, you've just redone the whole boss fight. So we're gonna hope that doesn't happen. But so what? Like I said, I'm gonna jump down, load the game, and then swing twice with the cane. Options, load, and I'm gonna load my file and swing twice. And you can see the save icon in the bottom left, which means that I beat the boss because the game saved. So now I'm done with the fight and I can move on. World 4, here we come. Actually.
We got like 2 more worlds left. Do you think this would be a good time to take a quick break?
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds good.
Perfect.
Refill my water.
Yeah, exactly. So we're just gonna take a quick wellness break, everybody. Just, kind of get up, stretch, get some water, anything you might need to do. Especially with like learning and stuff, this is a lot longer of a run than you normally would do. So it's important, get up, stretch, take care of yourself in between, learning runs, whatever. Just before we go to a break, though, just want to remind everybody, your subs, gift subs, Prime Gaming subs, and bits do help support all of our weekly hotfix content. So if you like, this show, learning speed games, if you like the first step, which was on before us, or any of the other wonderful shows on our channel, if you could consider supporting us. It really does help us make this content, and it helps us be able to continue making these shows. And then as well, we do have a Games Done Quick highlight channel, which is just highlights of all of our GDQ hotfix shows. If you want to learn more about that, you can use !highlights in chat, and you can learn more about that. With all that said, we'll see you in just a few minutes here for the last 2 levels of Sly. Hello everybody, welcome back to the Games Done Quick Hotfix. This is How to Train a Speedrunner, and we are in the middle of learning Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus. We're here with Zick. How you doing, Zick?
Doing good. Doing good. Refilled my water. Gotta stay hydrated.
I'm so glad you continued vamping there, because I asked and then immediately took a sip of water, and I was like, oh god, he's done talking already, oh no. Whenever you're ready to pick it back up, you can feel free.
Yeah, I'm just, doing a little preliminary work here
Travel plans to China have all
before we start World 4. So we'll just jump right back into it. I'm ready to go. So we're gonna get into World 4. Playing the game is over again. We're back to skipping everything the game has to offer. So let's start World 4. This was one of the biggest things that was discovered for this game within the last couple years was the ability. We used to just play this entire world, and this is something that was pretty big that was found and has been made pretty consistent too over the last couple years. So it's really cool to see. Again, World 3 is sadly the only world that gets snubbed here. So we're playing this level as normal right now. And one thing you'll note is through this kind of corridor, there's a cutscene at the end of it. And if you haven't gathered yet, if there's a cutscene, we're going to find a way to skip it. So how we're going to do that here is there's this little signpost, and you can actually land on it. And if you just kind of looking at Sly, just hold down and double jump, you can actually ledge grab this. You can see it now that I'm up here. It was just straight back from that sign. There's actually a ledge here you can grab. And this lets you jump out of bounds. Kind of. We're just kind of on top of the wall where there would be a cutscene. So now we could just kind of jump around where that cutscene would be. And we're right over it.
Just kind of following the geometry of the level.
Right, exactly. Again, some of that can be difficult because your camera is not meant, you're not meant to be up there, so the camera is fighting you at every kind of chance it gets. So you kind of want to just look at the level and try and stay as close to the level as you can so you don't fall into the abyss. After skipping that cutscene though, we'll just keep proceeding through the level. Instead of going around here, you can actually just jump on this little thing, jump over this wall. Small little time save. You can do this pretty fast by jumping around, or you can just kind of play it safe. You can kind of jump around if you want to move a little faster. You just want to be careful. You don't want to get hit by those crystals. An important thing here is that I've got a charm right now. You need to have a lucky charm to do this skip. Kind of like we needed in World 2. We need a charm to do this next skip. So if you don't have one, coming out of World 3, the quickest way you can get one is in the level of Grave Undertaking. There's a charm literally right at the start. You walk 2 steps forward and there's a charm. So you can just go into that level, get the charm, and leave. So normally you would, as you can see, you'd sneak around here under these guards, avoid getting seen, and get up to there. But if you actually just jump and swing your cane, there's these fireworks here. You can actually just reach the fireworks from the bottom, and it will play the cutscene. When the cutscene's done, it warps you up here because that's where you're supposed to be. So it's a way to skip doing that entire little segment.
This is the vault, but you need more clues.
So another section where if you want to go get the key, it's all the way back there. You can see it sparkling. No problem. If you're getting good at your cane jumps though, which if you got this far and you did the World 2 skip, should be better at your cane jumps. You can actually flip through this door into the end of level trigger without needing to unlock it. Just stand Sly right here, right by this pillar. You just do your cane jumps around the door. And you can actually get to these trees. And if you just double jump in between them, Sly gets stuck. And it puts you back at your last grounded position to the other side of the door. We don't need keys at all because we're going to skip the entire world. So let's load the game just to put us in the center of the hub world. It skips a little cutscene too. But as normal, we're in the first area. We need to skip over to the second area, which is the other side of that wall. There's a Bentley cutscene there. If you hit it, just load your game. Not a big deal. You want to kind of actually walk like this so that you skip that cutscene entirely. I'm going to wait for this guard to turn around because I want to take him out so I can kind of talk and not have to move fast. Get out of here. Okay, so what we can do here, we want to get to that kind of retaining wall that I'm looking at to jump over it to the other side of the world. And how we can do that is this railing that I'm looking at can actually stand on. And it's kind of tough to get on it because it's angled. It's not like straight up and down. So you kind of want to, you know, if you miss it, you'll fall forward. Take it easy though, because you don't want to jump over the edge. If you jump over the edge, you'll lose your charm. But just like that, you can jump right on top of it. And from here, you jump straight forward at this arch. You can actually ledge grab the snow pile behind and just jump your way up. So there's a lot of pits and holes here, but the key is that retaining wall. If you just jump to the wall and follow the wall, you won't fall. If you go to the right here, you'll fall. The left, you'll fall. You just follow the wall all the way to this tower, and then you can jump down to the other side of the wall. And now we're in the second area of the world. So this is where the fabled World 4 skip begins. And this is gonna look kind of crazy. It's gonna sound a little crazy, but this is one of those strats where it's like, if you just do it once or twice, it really will make a lot of sense, and it's fairly consistent. So while you're learning this, I would suggest entering Duel by the Dragon and just exit the level, because use it as a checkpoint. Because this is outside this level is where the trick happens. So if you mess it up, you don't want to go all the way back to the start and have to do all that jumping again. You'll just use this as a checkpoint you can come back to. And just start again. There's also a pretty fairly easy charm to get at the start of that level. So if you lose your charm here, you can go back in there and get another pretty easily. So, these level triggers, you saw if I walk towards it, you enter the level. These level triggers are not as big as you think they are. They look huge, but you can actually just jump around them, and it's pretty forgiving. So if you look, I'll jump kind of where this bridge turns from thick to thin, and we can just jump right around it. It's actually an extremely small trigger. You can see I was like in the glowing.
Yeah, that looks really easy.
It's very forgiving. Like, the trigger for that level is pretty small. So don't worry about being like really wide with your jump. You can get around it pretty easily. And this is where the magic skip is going to happen. So this is what's called a void drown. I kind of mentioned that at the start, that it was something that you could do in some places. But this is a spot we can't avoid it. We have to do a void drown here. But it's pretty easy. What a void drown is there's water below us, and the water extends so far out of bounds, and then it just stops and just turns into nothingness. If you were to fall into nothingness, Sly would fall downward. If you fall into the water, he would just paddle on top of the water and drown. Or if you have a charm, he'll go back to his last safe spot. What we want to do, though, is hit the water at the spot where it drops off. So we will get the drowning animation, but fall at the speed of normal falling. And why this is beneficial is we're going to use that time. Sly has a little drowning animation. While he's doing that, he's going to be falling and falling and falling. And when we finally burn this charm to go back to our safe grounded position, we are really far below the level. And when it tries to put us back, we have so much velocity that it's going to overshoot. by a mile. It's just gonna go way past this spot, and it's gonna launch us all the way to that panda, which is the trigger for the World 4 boss fight. It is pretty cool to watch, and it's actually pretty simple to do.
I love velocity stuff like this.
So this is your starting position, right between these two snowy like slats in the roof, and I stay on this darker bit. You just start here. There's many different ways you can actually do this. If you kind of look up people's videos, lots of people have different ways you can do this. This is the way I know how to do it, and it's fairly consistent. So we'll start right here. You'll do one of the cane jumps, the square X. You're gonna do one of those forward and jump off the roof. And there will be a little ledge at the bottom of the roof. We're gonna grab it. So that'll make more sense when I do it. It's hard to visualize now. So we'll cane jump off the roof, and we'll grab this. That is probably the most difficult part of this. If you can do that, you've got the trick. It's just kind of you jump off the roof and pull back inwards. If you land on the railing, it's okay. That's not a safe spot according to the game, so you won't update your grounded position. And that's the key. You have to be grounded and safe. So if you land on like a railing or something, the game doesn't consider that safe enough to put you back to if you get stuck. So yeah, so we're here. Now I'm just gonna inch slide. Yeah, I landed on there, but that's okay. We're just gonna inch slide. You just jump off and tap to the left. An inch slide like this. If you see this board at the corner of the house, you like to get Sly's backpack just a little bit away from it. That's the visual cue I like to use, is get Sly's backpack against it, just a little to the right, little gap between the board and the backpack. Or that Sly's ear is going inside of the board. And this is your good spot. If you're here, this should be a good spot. So what you do here, if you click in the right joystick, it will center the camera behind Sly. Now our camera's set. The only thing you have to do is hold down right and jump. And you will hit the exact spot that I was talking about, where the water meets the void. Just down right, jump. Keep holding down right until you hit the keep holding down right next until you hit the spot, and you'll start the trick. Now when the trick begins, when you get drowning and you have a charm, you can cancel the drowning animation at any time because you're safe. So it's like, okay, just whenever you want to go back, you can. So we can cancel the downward velocity whenever we're ready. We want to cancel it at the right time so if we do it too early, we're not going to get a launch. If we do it too late, you're not going to be in World 4 anymore. We're gone. We're in a different game. So we want to do it at the exact right time. And that'll be signified when we're falling, and you'll see this when I do it. There'll be mountains in the background. They'll slowly pan off the top of the screen. Right when you see the mountains go off the top of the screen, press X. And that's pretty much the perfect trigger every time to get the right velocity. So we'll go down right X, and then fall until the mountains are off the screen, push X. And we should go to the boss. So let's give it a shot. Down right X. And we're falling, there's the mountains, we're off screen, and launch. And away we go. We missed it. We missed it just slightly. That's okay. You get the premise of the trick. Now we can show it off again in full motion now that you understand the motions. That will happen sometimes. You will miss sometimes. Depending on when you press the X button, how your lineup was on that railing. Lots of little factors go into this. That was very close though. This trick saves so much time that you absolutely could do this 2 or 3 times and still save a lot of time. We'll go past that. I showed it again. That's a pretty forgiving jump.
I was going to say, like, going back to that, it looked like you hit that.
Yeah. You're literally like standing in it. We'll inch slide over again. A little more. Yeah, this looks good. Center of the camera. Down right. X. Hit the spot. Wait till the mountains are off the screen and launch. This is look. No, I still don't think I got enough speed. Still didn't get enough speed. Try it again. Some things to note while I kind of show this off again is a thing you can do with Sly. Now, I'm not getting enough speed, so I'm gonna probably let it go a little further below the mountains. But if you get too much speed and you look like you're gonna overshoot the trigger, you can actually swing Sly's cane in the air, and that will kill all his forward momentum. He'll be up, you swing cane, you'll jump straight down like a rock. So if it looks like you're gonna go past the trigger, you can just swing Sly's cane and just drop right down onto it. So it's a way you can kind of control yourself in the air. So that was very interesting. He ledge grabbed and then let go immediately. But yeah, so arguably you could say it may be a little better for you to overshoot than undershoot because you can correct it if you overshoot it, but undershooting it, it's just unfortunate. You can see here though why I recommended you get this level as like a checkpoint. It's very quick to just get back here and try again if you get that level as a little checkpoint. And like I said, you're doing this instead of playing every single level in this world. So this, again, you could probably get this 4th try and still be saving time. Especially if you're using that checkpoint. We're in position. Down right next. Hit the water. And launch. Away we go. This actually might be looking like an overshoot. Actually going to kill his velocity. Oh, wow. Back in World 2, I did say that there would probably be one other spot where we may have a few difficulties. And this is definitely it. This is not, like I said, this is fairly consistent. This is one I practiced last night. I did it twice, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this is great. I don't need to practice this anymore." And,
it goes back to our conversation earlier.
Exactly. But yeah, this is definitely a trick that will probably, trip you up for a little bit. But if you keep at it, usually you get this fairly consistently. As long as you're doing the same motions. Down right next, hit the body of water, fall, and launch. And you can see, actually getting the trick very consistent. There we go. I think I had it last time. I think I just shouldn't have canceled my momentum. And I thought I was going further than I did. And here we are. We're in the boss fight. You can actually use that trick in other places too. Like I said, there's actually a spot in the first level where you can do a void drown to launch yourself to the end of the level. But that's a pretty advanced strat and it's tough to do. But luckily the movements for that are pretty simple. So it's not one of those things that's like you have to invest a lot into and then, oh, I messed it up. I have to set all that up again. It's just a few inputs. Here's Panda King. He's just going to throw fireballs at us. We're going to dodge him and run up to him. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. So Panda King takes 10 hits and then he'll cower in fear. You hit him again and he'll bounce you away. There is a way you can actually not get bounced away. You basically jump, tap forward towards his belly, and then do the swing. And if you do it right, I messed it up. You can actually just get bumped into the air and start the strat again. If you don't, just dodge the fireballs and come up here. Hit them 10 times. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. You do want to count your hits here though, because of the end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. You can also press circle when you're flying back, because these little blue glowy spots, you can kind of press circle to latch to them and not fall as far back. 10. Alright, so we're on the last phase, and this is especially important where you want to count your hits, because on the 10th hit, he'll die and start the cutscene. And you want to load your game before you do the final hit, or you're going to watch that cutscene and have to reset the game. So, it's really the only important thing here is just count your hits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we'll go to options, load game, load it, and do the final hit. And that is how you do panicking. And that's the entirety of World 4. This is, I think, the funniest looking of all the worlds, because if you look at the bottom of the screen, we have collected absolutely nothing. And we have beaten the level.
Okay, partner.
You don't need to collect anything to beat the game.
Nothing. So far, we have collected the 7 keys in this level. We have 1 here, and 0 in the other level. So, here's our final level. Skip the cutscene, because we've watched it already. And we'll start. So the first level, this is an auto-scroller. You ride the van, and you shoot the objects that are in front of you, and the van will just keep going forward until you're at the end of the level. Most of it's pretty straightforward. There's the parts coming up I'll show you in a second. There will be Robo Falcons that swarm and try and attack the van. These can be a little rough. They're moving targets. If they hit you, you go back to the start. So the best thing you can do, shoot where I am now. Just do little circles over here, and you'll see you will usually hit most of them. Occasionally a straggler will get through, but every bird passes, no matter what flying pattern they have, they pass through that part of the screen. So you are very likely to hit the birds, regardless of what little flying pattern they're on. If you just kind of, right where I'm doing right now, just do little circles over here. Little circles. And you'll probably hit most of them. Some may straggle through, and that's okay. But you could pick up 1 or 2. It's better than getting swarmed by a ton of them. Other than that, hit the mines and get through the level. World 5 is a different world than the others because you don't have like a hub world. You just you get thrown levels in sequence. So that doesn't mean we don't have skips, but we just have to do each level in sequence. This is the tough one. There's a lot of Robo Falcons here. You want to hope that you hit most of them and you don't get too many stragglers because they can kind of get out of control. Circles are going really good. There.
Nice
Easy.
shooting, Sly. Looks like we're in the clear.
Hurry. That cave
Okay,
doesn't look
so our
so
second
short
level
to make
is
it
still
all
not a
the way
platforming level. It's another mini game. The concept is that there are 120 computers and fire slugs are trying to get them. So we have to get more computers than the fire slugs. There's technically a strat you can do. There's actually a couple things you can kind of do here. They're very, very minor. One of them is there's a ledge back there where we came from. You can actually hit the fire slugs back there And if you get them stuck up there, they cannot come back down. And if you were to get every single fire slug up there, they would just never spawn again. You could get an entire crew of them stuck up there. The other thing you can do is at the end, there's going to be like a cutscene that plays where you get told good job, as all mini games do. And if there's a like computer right next to the door, you can actually collect it as your last computer and hit the trigger for the next level when that cutscene starts and skip it. But that's kind of just all up to luck that you hope a computer drops in the right spot. It's not something you would wait on.
Okay.
So we'll get to 59, take a look if we've got a good candidate for a... Nah, we'll just go for it. You kind of would just get to 59, look and see if there's a computer back there, and if there's not, just take one. This little dialogue isn't that long. Okay, so this is the most infamous skip in Sly Speedrun. This is called Bentley skip. This is easily the skip that most people learning the game would say is the most difficult part of it. Definitely on your first run, you can play the Bentley hacking level. It's long, but if this trick's really, keeping you from finishing a run, you can just play the Bentley hacking level. But we have a way to skip it. So first we'll proceed through the level like you normally would. Just kind of latching onto objects. Here we can kind of do a neat little jump to skip some spots. If you grab this hook, you can jump, land on that railing, and jump over. And that's not necessary though. You can just go around. So this, right when you step into that room, a cutscene will begin where Clockwork will poison you and Bentley will have to do a hacking mission to save the day. The trigger for the cutscene is only really in the front, of this room. So if we were to find a way to go over that, we could get into that level trigger behind Carmelita and completely skip the Bentley hacking level. So we're going to use this turret here as our friend. So when this turret sees you, you can see when it sees you, it will open up to shoot a dart at you. When it's done seeing you, it will close again. What we want to do is basically jump on this railing to get the turret to open, and then jump at the turret so it will lose sight of us, close on top of us, and launch us up out of it. And if you get launched high enough, you can jump over the room. So this is tough because this one is less consistent. There's not a D-pad setup to get the right launch every time. You kind of just have to jump at the turret and work with what you get. If you don't get a high enough launch, don't risk it. Just come back down, try it again. So like I said, there's this bend in the railing in front of me. You want to land on the bend and then literally as soon as you land on the railing, jump right at the turret, right at the center of where it opens. And so I'll kind of show what that looks like. So jump, hit the bend, and like that. And you'll see I got launched up and out. We'll try and show that again. Jump, oh, and you'll see that was a little different launch. I got more forward momentum than upward. That was a really good one. But it kept that one. But yeah, right when you see that you get that launch, hold forward and you're trying to get over the trigger. If your jump isn't big enough, you can land on the edge of this thingy and jump around. It's very slippery. Definitely, you don't want to do that, but it is an option if you don't get a big enough launch. So, yeah, double jump at the rail, single jump at the turret, get a launch, and go. So let's see if I can get a good launch here. This is another one where, it will take some practice. And even with practice, this skip will still trouble even very experienced runners. Because, like I said, there's not like a D-pad setup to get you the right launch every time. Okay. Occasionally, if you get a really bad launch, you can just get like all forward momentum and it'll just throw you into the room. If that happens, you can just reset the game. This is another trick where even if you miss it and fail and have to reset, doing it again would still be faster than doing the Bentley minigame. It is a very long level.
Oh, it's one of those. Yeah.
Oh, I hit the trigger. All right, we'll do a reset here. I actually just tapped it. I probably should have landed on the thingy. But you can see right there that middle thingy is very slippery. The front is a little less slippery, so I should have probably backed off and landed on the front rather than the side. But that you can see that trigger for that cutscene is very big. So like, it's kind of tough sometimes to gauge if your launch is like, you don't have the time to like get launched and be like, is this good enough? You kind of have to make a really quick decision of like, this looks good, go. And hope that it was high enough.
A little bit of like on your feet thinking.
Exactly. It's one of those things you kind of get a feel for that you're like, oh, I've seen enough launches that, you'll know when one's probably good enough to keep.
Yeah.
Oh, dang. That's kind of a tough thing of trying to land on that railing. It is very slippery. So you can just slide off it like that and fall into the lava. Yo, you don't always, like I did there, you don't always have to land on the railing. If you're really fast with your jump, you can just land on the carpet and jump up. So let's do our jump again. Hit the bend in the rail, turret, again. I don't know if others will agree with me too, but my moment of complaining, the trick is not made easier by the PS3 controllers. I think the PS3 DualShock 3s are one of the worst controllers ever made. I think they have the worst joysticks of any Sony controller.
I don't know that I've ever sat down with a PS3 controller for an extended period of time. I will say that I use the 360 controller. But I mean, that's an option I have because I don't play console games.
Yeah.
It doesn't really help for people who have to play on a PlayStation. Like, yeah, just hook up an Xbox controller.
That was a bad one. Yeah, for a while I got myself an Xbox controller for PC gaming because DualShock controllers just didn't work great with PC games for a while. They're much better nowadays, but...
Yeah, I remember back in like early, it's like 2014, like 2013, but I remember like DualShock back then on PC was like, you had to install a bunch of extra stuff.
PS4 Windows.
Yeah. Like, or you could just plug this in.
Yeah.
Got a USB port. There you go. Which is, I mean, I do just like the controller, but that's one of the big reasons why I was like, I will just use an Xbox controller.
Yeah. And one of the very unfortunate things is you can technically hook a PS4 controller up to a PS3. They work through Bluetooth, but for some odd reason, I wasn't fast enough. For some odd reason, when you do that, everything works perfectly fine, except the center button. The center PlayStation button does not map when you Bluetooth the PS4 controller in. And for Sly speedrunning, you need to hold the center button to reset the game for the boss cutscene. So you can't use the PS4 controller for that one little piece of functionality. All right, so we're back here. We'll keep trying our little jumps. You can see sometimes you're gonna get some wild looking jumps. That one was pretty good. Maybe I should have taken that. You will get some wild jumps. You kind of want to react on the fly to not fly into the lava. That's unfortunate. That's what I was talking about earlier. Sometimes you will get a launch that is all forward momentum and it will lob you into that cutscene, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it. You can't cancel the momentum, or if you get a launch like that, you just reset the game. Resign yourself to fate. Like I said, this trick will take a lot of practice, and even with a lot of practice, it definitely still sometimes can just feel... I don't want to use random as the word, because it's not random. It's, you know, it's just because there's not like a consistent, you know, D-pad or anything. You're at the mercy of analog joysticks and 3D camera. So like even the slightest difference can make a world of a difference in what kind of angles you get. Why I find that like the okay, people that pass this game is very, very impressive. Like to be able to figure out how certain things work with, you know, you're trying camera angles of just like move at a small degree, to find the right camera angle that gives the most perfect exact launch. That one was pretty good. There we go. And that's the launch you're looking for. And by getting right behind here, we completely skip that cutscene and we go straight into the temporary truce level. Right when you get in a temporary truce, mash X and Sly will double jump. And that'll get you a chance to pause the game. One, this will let me, you know, explain that, yeah, once you get behind that cutscene, you move into the thing, and normally after the Bentley hacking level, this level would load. Because Sly would run into this level trigger, but conveniently we can just run into it and it's active. But at the start of this level, there will be a cutscene here. It's a pretty lengthy cutscene. But if you match X, Sly will do a jump, which will give you like a full second to pause the game. And if you reload, it'll actually skip that intro cutscene and just start the level immediately. You can do it without double jumping. If you pause on the exact right frame, you can just pause. But it's definitely extremely difficult, and jumping will like 100% of the time get you that pause for almost no time loss. little quality of life things like that. I remember when I was first running the game, you know, you just tried to pause and it was not fun. So we're just going to do this level like normally. Here you're controlling Carmelita and shooting out these pathways to Sly, which I was supposed to kind of do ahead of time and I didn't. But you just play this level as normally, just shoot out all the enemies and keep Sly moving.
Nice job, Raccoon.
And now we get a platforming level. And this is a good one. Thinking Peril is a really good level. This is if you know the game or you haven't played the game before, we have to climb this owl tower, the death ray, and the lava is raising. So it's a race against the lava to climb the tower. So there's a lot of tight platforming here, and we are going to be doing a lot of skips. So there's a cutscene at the start you'll load, and you can just skip it. That's a good way to start the level. Skip the cutscene. So the first skip is going to be right up here. We'll jump around this. And so these little hooks, you can swing off them and jump up into the air. And so by using basically the same movement as a bone jump, where you jump off of something, relatch onto it, and jump again, by using the swinging of this hook, we can actually jump to the blue wire that's above it instead of going around the whole level. So, like that. So you just Get on the hook, double jump off it, re-grab it, double jump again, and just mash circle. And Sly will grab this as his new closest object. If you want, you can just go around. It's not very long to just swing the hooks and walk around this. If you do this skip though, to progress the level, you actually have to run backwards a little bit to spawn these gears. So the next skip you can do here is smash the first 2 gears, and you can actually jump on the 3rd gear. Hold X to tap and you can get on it. And this way, if you just jump to the right and mash circle, Fly will actually jump up to this rail. And you're really just abusing in this level the fact that if you just get close enough to an object, whoa, Fly will latch onto it. He did not consider that pole close enough, I guess. So the skip's off again. And it's honestly good. You'll notice I was trying to pause as much as possible. I'm trying to go fast. You want to go fast. Because you want as much time as possible to do some of these tricks, especially the last trick, because the last trick can kind of trip you up, and you want as much time as possible and not have the lava chasing you. So the last trick is where you really get to test how good you are at the bone jump. So this is hard to visualize because you'll be able to visualize it once it's done, and you'll be able to see it. But there's actually a railing right above us off the screen, like right and up. Normally you'd go all the way around this tower to get up here, but by doing those bone jumps we talked about, so we'll jump off this pole, relatch onto it, and double jump and mash circle, Fly can actually grab the pole that's directly above us if we get high enough. So this is kind of a trick where I said you want to go fast to give yourself as much time as possible in case you don't get this right away. But if you kind of position your camera like right here, you know, and again, it's not super exact, just in this general direction. You'll kind of go right, mostly right. And that's something that can kind of feel weird because you feel like the bar is up, so you want to go forward, but you actually want to go right here to get that object closest to you. But yeah, you'll just hold right, jump, press circle, jump again, and press circle, and you could, if you're high enough, you should grab the ledge above you. So, like that. And now you can kind of visually see where I was aiming for. From that pole down there, if you jump directly to the right with enough height, he'll grab this pole instead of that one. This is the end of the level. So that level in full motion, that's a really fun level to do for platforming wise. Load the game as there's another cutscene to skip. And we'll begin the final boss. So this is Clockwork. This is our final fight of the game. So the first phase is very straightforward. Hang out here on the bottom left till he shoots his little thingies at you, and then move up and hit his the glowing targets. There's going to be 4 of these. Next one's his tail, and then the next one will be his right wing. We'll hang out here, wait for the shots. And you just want to hang out, like I said, at the bottom of the screen so that you're not trying to dodge bullets while you're trying to hit the targets. All right. Phase 2. This phase we're doing as normal. It's very straightforward. There is a risk here of dying. There's nothing you can do about it if it happens. He's going to shoot these purple rings at us. You just have to fly through the purple rings and then hit the targets when they light up. The purple rings go past the camera, past us. They come at the screen, and if you were to like look at the level from afar, the rings don't despawn. They keep going. So in rare cases, the rings can bounce off the geometry behind you come back onto screen at lightning speed and kill you. And
Oh wow.
it's very rare. I mean, it's talking like, I don't even know, but we'll put 1% chance on it. But
It's
if it
gonna
happens,
happen
there's
right now.
Yeah, right now it's gonna happen. If it happens, there's nothing you can do about it. It's just, it happens. There's no like, oh, if you do this, you'll dodge it. Like, the only way you can prepare for it is have a charm, but again, you really won't see it very often. It's just silly that it's a thing. So phase 3 is where things, as I've said many times this run, I would say if you're just starting out, don't worry about what I'm about to show you. Just do phase 3 as normal. What I'm about to show you is very risky and does save a good amount of time, but it is risky. This is called Clockwork Jump. So you kind of have to do this platforming section where you go all the way around Clockwork and then hit him in the head with your cane to finish the fight. You can actually do a very, very tight double jump where you will double jump and hit the circle button to latch onto objects. And you can actually latch onto the pole that's right next to the end of the level, right by Clockwork's head. Sly will actually dip into the lava a little bit for this. So if your timing is off even slightly, you'll fall in the lava and die, and you have to restart the fight from the beginning. So it's like high risk, little reward. But it's not so bad once you kind of get the feel of like a good double jump. It's not so bad once you get a feel for a good double jump. You usually get it most of the time. But like I said, if you're just starting out, just play the level. It's, you know, you're probably, I don't know the numbers, but you're probably only saving like 15, 20, 25 seconds from this. Not a ton. But you'll come over here, and the trick begins right here. And you can see on the right side of the screen, there's a pole there by Clockwork's tail. And so what we're gonna do is land on this little metal piece below us and jump in that direction towards the pole. And I just usually mash circle. I don't know if it's better to time it well or just mash it. I like to just mash it so you get the input in as soon as you can. But you will double jump towards that pole and mash X. And if your double jump is good enough, you'll latch onto that pole. If your double jump's not good enough, you'll fall in the lava and die. So it's definitely very risky. And like I said, if you're starting out, just do the level. It's not that long. We can see the whole level from here. So it's not super long. But if you want to do the Clockwork Jump, get on here and then double jump and you'll grab the pole. And then you can get up to Clockwork's head and just hit Clockwork until his health hits 0, and that would be time. And that is the end of the Sly Cooper run.
But I managed to snatch that last piece of the Thievius Raccoonus from Clockwork's claw. I had taken
And yeah, time would be as soon as you see the health bar of Clockwork hit 0 and the save icon appears, that's the end of the run.
And finally Clockwork. I'd beaten them all one by one and reclaimed my birthright.
So, I mean, we kind of talked about this already, but like,
the help of my pals.
there wasn't, I mean, there was a few things that looked like they would be a little tricky to learn, but they weren't the beginner stuff. It was a lot of this is stuff you pick up a lot later. So this feels like a very, very beginner-friendly run. Like, you can just
Without his expertise,
pick up the game, like, these are the strats you can start off with, and then once you've got that kind of nailed down, you just go from there, kind of
forget the
deal.
lovely Carmelita.
Yeah, like I said, what's really nice about it is like I said, there's a few pieces, and technically speaking, you want to get into the game, you can just do the levels very fast for your first run. And then, like I said, start adding stuff in. Now I want to learn that cool World 1 skip that I showed, or now I want to learn the World 4 skip.
10, 9,
So it's something I really like about Sly speedrunning is that it very much is a game where, yeah, you can just kind of
3,
do things in a comfortable way and then start picking and choosing little strats that look cool along the way.
1.
Nothing is really going to soft lock you and stop you from progressing in the game if you commit to something. Have to learn these 7 things to get through it. You can just do one, add it in. That's it.
We'd see each other again.
They don't like link together as like, once you learn this trick, you have to do this one and this one and this one to get there. So it's definitely a fun game to run and learn.
Yeah, and it's basically like a build your own route kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna learn this one. That one's a little too tricky for me right now. I'll skip it and do this instead, or I'll just skip all of it for now and play the game a little bit more.
Yeah, and I like the way you said that, like build your own route, because I kind of was touching on it in a few spots, like the first level, stealthy approach. There are 4 or 5 different ways you can do that level at varying speeds, and lots of people do lots of different strats solely on preference. It's not everybody does the absolute fastest one, because sometimes the fastest strat's just too risky, or just you never get past it. And World 1, there's that. I know World 3, when I showed the van proxy, there's other strats in that level too that some people prefer that only lose a second or two. So it's kind of cool that the game also has many different ways you can complete certain levels, and it's not always just, this is the way you do it, don't do it any other way.
Yeah. And like, it seems like at least in this, like you touching on what you just said, like the game's not optimized to the point where you have to do this to, like, even if you're at the top, like you don't have to do all of this to even compete. You can do something that's a little bit slower here and then make up for it later on. And outside of the top 10, like you don't have to do the best, like the absolutely fastest tricks. You can just play the game for the time. Like you don't need to do everything just to compete, kind of deal.
Yeah, like there's some tricks, like I mentioned, like fish skip, where people are like, oh, don't do that unless you have to. Like, I mean, we're talking in a lot of categories, only like maybe the top 2 or 3 runners are actually even trying fish skip. Like, it's not like some of these really difficult things. A lot of people aren't even touching them because they're just ridiculous.
I don't. So yeah, like everything seems pretty straightforward. And that was the other thing. It's like a lot of these, and I'm sure that like once you sit down with them, it might be a little bit more difficult to actually pick up. But everything I saw for the most part was very straightforward. It was like, this is how you set it up. Sometimes it's like, the camera angles are a little wonky, but like it seemed like very much, this is how you do it. It might take a little bit of practice, but there's no complicated bits of it, which is nice.
Yeah, like I said at the start, like once you get down, like, the bone jump, the cane jump, these like few kind of tech, all the tricks are all based on just those couple core movement pieces. So it's just like practice those things, and the tricks all kind of just open themselves up. And again, it's a very loving community. There's a lot of love for this game. There's a lot of people that know more about this game than I could ever hope to know. Lots of really helpful people that will sit. Honestly, there's been times that me and other people have just, I'm stuck on this trick. Like that World 2 thing I was having, where you're like, I'm just not getting high enough. What's going on? And people will definitely be like, send me a video. I'll look at it. And people will watch the video and be like, oh, definitely try this, or move your camera that way, or I think I see what's wrong from this. There's a lot of people to help out will definitely, guide you along the way. There's lots of good resources out there.
And that's something like you've got a community Discord. You can like just drop in there and then ask people about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's linked to the speedrun.com page. Very great place to be.
I also just dropped it in chat for anybody there. I don't have anything else really to say. Do you have anything else you'd like to touch on real quick?
No, I mean, I think I showed off everything that there is to show off for any percent. It's a really fun speed game. Definitely worth checking out.
This looks really fun. Like, I don't know, I know everything I've learned over the past 3 hours, I guess. but this looked like a really fun speedrun. Like I've been saying, like it's the kind of game I like where it's got a lot of skips, but you're not skipping everything. Like there's still gameplay.
Yeah.
And it's got like velocity things, which I love velocity things. Those are my favorite.
World 4 skip is always fun to watch.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much for coming on, showing this game, especially on the tight deadline. It's I say this every 2 weeks, every show. It's awesome to have people who are very passionate about their game, who like are knowledgeable, come in and share that knowledge and share the passion of the game with other people. So thank you so much for coming on and teaching the game.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had a blast. We are all set for the night, though. We are going to take a quick 5-minute break while we look for a raid target. So if you wouldn't mind sticking around after the break just to help cheer on somebody else during their speedruns. Before we go to the break, though, just closing reminders out here. If you're watching over on YouTube, so the VODs, tomorrow, you can come watch us live over at twitch.tv/gamesdonequick if you're interested in watching any of the stuff live. Most weeknights we start around 7 p.m. Eastern, and on weekends we start around 1 p.m. Eastern. Tomorrow on Hotfix, we've got What's Faster starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, which is a show about pitting two games or game categories, depending on, the show or the week. It's two categories or games of similar lengths, and then just having them race against each other to see which one's faster. Like I said, that's all we've got for the night. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see y'all tomorrow for What's Faster.